something like me.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Walking with Walfinch, the Vegas edition. And I'm really pleased to say that I've got Jennifer Brannan, the Chief Growth Officer for AC Inc., Angela Cote Incorporated.
That's right, that's right.
Thank you very much, Jennifer, for joining us.
I'm thrilled to have something to do on this wonderful Monday morning in Las Vegas.
Well, hey, look, there's lots of things to do on Monday morning in Las Vegas, I'm sure. So Jennifer, tell me a little bit about yourself. What's kind of brought you here today in life in general? We can go anywhere with this, right?
Okay. Well, I have been in franchising for 30 years. I actually don't want to do the math because it's probably more than that. So I've been in all kinds of roles in franchising. I was a franchisee for a long time. I worked in friend dev. I coached franchisees. So about 5 years ago or so, Angela and I met, and she was on a mission to really change franchising, to really focus on how we can develop franchisees and coach franchisees so that franchisees are happy, growing, and satisfied with being a franchisee. So I jumped on the bandwagon and have been working on this mission ever since.
Wonderful. And so for those that don't know what AC Inc. does, tell us a little bit about what it actually does and who it really serves.
So we support franchise systems to strengthen their field support program. And that means supporting franchisees. And we do that in a variety of ways, whether we do keynote speaking or workshops or work with brands to really create a coaching framework for them to be able to coach successfully their franchisees. As well as we have our education department that offers the only field coach certification for the coaching role, because there's nothing that exists right now for coaches.
Yeah.
And so we have a very comprehensive program that teaches them the techniques and coaching skills so that they can actually help franchisees grow their business, not just operate the business.
I think it's Stephanie.
Stephanie, our director of education.
Yeah, she was on the pod last year. So
amazing.
She was great.
She's fantastic.
So I think one of the things that I'd love to understand for that is I've been in business for many years. From the age of 22, when I kind of got involved in my first business, I was in restaurants as a sole trader, as a limited company, went in as a franchisee, became a franchisor. One of the things I found the hardest throughout this whole journey has been leadership. And what it sort of suddenly dawned on me was that I found myself consulting people that were working with me rather than coaching them.
Yes.
And that really took me about 15 years to understand. But I wonder if you could tell me, what do you think the difference of the two things are?
Well, consulting, we really look at consulting as we're telling our franchisees what to do, how to solve a problem. It's really the talking at them, and which we want to do. You know, if we're supporting, if we talk about doing this in franchisees or even in leading any teams, we often want to provide answers and solutions. And sometimes our franchisees need that, but what we're not doing a lot of the time is we are not actually coaching them. And there is a real clear difference between the two. As a coach, there is always going to be a piece of consulting. You are always going to be there to help solve those problems. But that's not where it should lie. We want to help them figure out things on their own. And so the difference between coaching and consulting is, I may know, as your coach, I may know the answer to what your problem is. I may know exactly what you should do.
Yeah.
But if I tell you that, and I was a franchisee, we don't always like to be told what to do, right?
Shocking, right? Who would have thought it?
Right. So, but however, if my coach has effective coaching skills and is actually coaching me, which means asking me questions to help me either figure out things on my own, and a good coach knows how to do that. They know the answer, but they need to lead me to figure it out for myself.
Yeah.
And that way, if that happens, then I'm much more apt to do it because it was my idea.
Yeah.
And people are bought into things that that are their idea. And now my coach is going to be asking me, how am I going to do that? What is that going to look like? Maybe it's an action step that I need to do to increase more leads or something like that. If my coach just comes and says, you got to do X, Y, and Z, okay, great.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't want to, or maybe I'm not bought into that. But if they help me figure out the things that I'm going to do, then I have ownership over that. Then they can hold me accountable to it because I said I'm going to do it because it was my idea and I want to do it.
I think that is the hardest part of the whole thing. As a franchisor, I look at franchisees sometimes and I'm like, because you take it personally, right? And as Greg Nathan says in Profitable Partnerships, it is personal.
Yes.
And I absolutely believe that. And I look at franchisees who put their house on the line, or put their last pound in, or dollar in, or euro in, depending on where you are. And I sort of think, gosh, we as a franchisor have a responsibility to these people. And sometimes you can see a slow car crash happening, and you sort of jump in and you're saying, look, hey, you need to do X. And what you realize is that often they're not going to do X, right. Because if they know they need to do X. And they aren't doing X. And that, therein lies the issue, I think. And then as a franchisor and a franchisee, the relationship can get like that. And I remember 5 or 6 years ago, when I was first getting started, I sort of butted heads with one of our franchisees. Great franchisee, actually. And really at times, they're so difficult, and I'm trying to help them, and I'm telling them what to do, and they're not doing it. But actually, what that really taught me was how to be a franchisor, because I then had to take 3 years to then fix that relationship and think, well, okay, so now what we need to do is get buy-in from said person. And across the board, so when you're implementing changes or you're having those discussions. And so I think that kind of journey into coaching is damn hard, unless you've got professional qualifications for it and done that work. But what sort of things have you seen where that's been really helpful to a brand? I don't know, are you a coach yourself?
I have been a long
Yeah.
time. I'm not currently, but
Yeah.
I absolutely have been.
So either people that you've worked with or any of your team have worked with, where have you seen this kind of coaching in action that has really sort of transformed the situation?
Well, I mean, it's, if I use some of the examples I've kind of already given, it's on a day-to-day basis where I'm a coach and I'm sitting down with a franchisee, and what we want to do is we don't want to be just focused on their operations, right?
Yeah.
Which we can so get into, because that's what we a lot of times think is our value as the coach, is make them a good operator.
Yeah.
We actually want to have good business owners as well as good operators. And so as the coach, it's about understanding what their goals are for their business. And this is one key thing. I think we do a lot of telling to our franchisees, you should hit 50 leads a month, or you should get to X, Y, or Z. And that's just the franchisor telling you what to do. So a good coach in a situation is able to understand what are the franchisees' goals, and then asking them those questions and working with them on that action plan of what are they actually going to be doing to reach those goals.
Putting them at the center of the conversation.
It's all about them. And if we tap into their why, their vision for their business, understanding that, then as a good coach, we're using that on those hard days that our coaches, and I was there were times like, I'm so over-owning this business.
Yeah. We all know that, right? Yes.
Of course. And when my coach is able to tap into my intrinsic motivation of why did I start this business in the first place? What do I want to get from it? And I tell this story all the time. As a franchisee, my goal was, I'm going to retire at 50 because I'm going to sell my business for X amount of dollars. I'm going to buy my beach house. Yeah. And my family and friends are going to come there, and I'm just going to live life great, surrounded by sun and family and friends. And if my coach
great. Where do I sign?
Yeah, I know, right? If my coach had tapped into that on those dark days or where I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I'm not going to do what I need to do to grow my business because I'm complacent or whatever. That could have reignited that spark in me, and they could have held my feet to the fire of, you want to do this for yourself. Yeah. It's not us coming in and telling you what you should do.
That's so interesting. It reminds me of, so we have a business coach that works with us, and he sort of started with me in the early days, and and essentially came in as a coach for me, but then has taken on lots of different things within the business. And really right now is one of the things that I work with him on is he's my sounding board for when I need a vent,
Right.
you know. And he's like, well, right, what do you want? You want advice? You want me in coaching
Right.
hat? What hat should I wear? And one of the things I find really interesting is that I might be talking about a franchisee who I feel is not performing but could perform. And you know, one of the things he always says to me is, let's just take them back to the day they were signing.
Yes,
Why did they
exactly.
sign in the first place?
Exactly right.
You know, what are they going to do next?
Yep.
And I think that is such a powerful question, you know, tapping in somebody's why. And it's so simple, right? But you wouldn't instinctively think of that,
Right.
actually.
Yes.
Which is really intriguing. So,
Yeah.
so how many coaches do you have working within
So,
AC Inc.?
so AC Inc. we have advisors.
Yeah.
And so I think we have 4 right now, but we also have facilitators for our education department.
Okay.
So, and we work directly with the franchise systems, or our facilitators of our education facilitate the program
Yeah.
via Zoom.
Nice. Okay. That's super cool. Just pause for a second. I think let's walk over there and then go all the way across. I think we can get back in.
Walk around there.
Yeah, I think let's go there. We can start to close up over there, take some pictures, and then we can go back in. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hot in there.
Yes.
It's pretty hot out here as well.
Well, it's also hot when you've got like a 9-kilo thing that you're walking around with. It's right. Do you want to cross the road first, and you can capture us, and then yeah.
Good to go.
Yep. Okay. So when you think about the future of where this kind of coaching piece is going, is that implemented in most franchise systems, do you think?
We wish. This is our mission.
Yeah.
Is to educate systems that coaching is just not about making good operators, because
Yeah.
I think that is that mindset, and that our coaches are junior level people that are just looking at compliance
Yeah.
or again operations, making sure that they are, whether it's the restaurant or a service-based business, that they're following the systems and the processes and things like that. We really believe that is a mistake, because good, effective coaches are actually a profit lever for your business.
Yes.
There's an actual direct ROI on those people if we treat them as such, and that means get the right people to be in the right seat with the training that they need. Because oftentimes franchisors will bring in people like me, who I was a great franchisee.
Yeah.
Oh, and you have a nice personality. Come and coach our franchisees.
Two very different things that are required.
Yeah,
there, right?
they never taught me how to coach.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I had to figure it out and use my own, emotional and social intelligence to figure it out. But I didn't have the skills because I didn't have any formal training.
Yeah.
And that is, I think if we stop looking at, as franchisors, stop looking at these coaches as that junior position with their clipboards and looking at compliance, and really look at them as the people that are going to drive your franchisee's performance.
Yeah.
That's, in my mind, that's the secret sauce to franchising.
Yeah, it's really increasing that unit level economics, right? I think that's one of the things that I find when we're talking about coaching. It's really thinking, how are you going to help this person break through? What is that? Are we bringing them back to the school fees they've got to pay for because they're in that stage of life? Are they going to the House of Mexico, whatever it is? It's really kind of really going back to that. And I think that's a really wonderful thing that you've touched on. And I think as a franchisor myself, and really talking to the franchisors out there, I think this is one of the things that we should be having in as a given, as a role within the business, right? And thinking about renaming those franchise support people, and they're franchise coaches, right? And it's kind of given me some food for thought, actually, just for when I go back home. So thank you for that, Jennifer.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
And so, Jennifer, asking you the coaching question, so what's next for you? Like, where is it? What's happening in the next 3 years?
Good question. Well, I think our mission has just started.
Yeah.
And it really is bringing this mindset to the greater franchise system. Some of those legacy brands that have been around a long time, let's kind of evolve a little bit in our thinking. So I would love just really to see us work with not just work with, I shouldn't say that, but come to conventions like this and do our sessions and really spread the word so that more and more brands adopt this, because I always say it's the secret sauce to franchising. As long as you have a great model, this is the way to get your franchisees so they're satisfied, they're growing their business, and they're performing well.
Wonderful. What a wonderful place to call that a day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
A real pleasure. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Until next time.